Sorry, I was muted, and I was obviously talking there for a little bit. Just to give you an introduction, this is a spot imaging seminar on PathCast and PathTracker. And we'll go into a little bit of housekeeping here. Number one, the session will be recorded, so we'll send you a link afterwards in case you want to see anything again or pass it to your colleagues. During the presentation, we have the audience muted, and if you have any questions, please put them into the chat box, and we'll address them during the open question and answer session. Another thing to note is if there's anything you want to get deeper into, because we have a limited amount of time here, we can set up a follow-on meeting for either a virtual or even on-site demonstrations, obviously. So with that said, my name is Philip Merlo. I'm Pathology Director of the, I also have helping me out today is Patricia Fergal, who covers the Western region. I have Kent Smith, who covers the Eastern region. And in between, we have Robert Giles, who covers the North Central region. So obviously, get in touch with them, get in touch with us. And then remotely, we have Patrick Merlo, who will be presenting the PathTracker system. So why is, okay. So getting started, just as an introduction, Spot sells a pathology portfolio that provides integrated imaging, and it's based around PathSuite, and this is a portfolio of imaging solutions that provide a collaborative environment with streamlined workflows and a common archive. The solution that we're going to be talking about first today is PathCast, our telepathology consult system. PathCast is there to make your collaboration easy. It supports interoperative consults from your frozen grossing to frozen microscopy to your surgical backbench, as well as from the frozen microscopy to subspecialty consult support. Rapid on-site evaluations are also performed between procedure rooms and the cytology suite, allowing the cytologists to stay at their desk doing their work rather than being tied up waiting for the procedure room results. We also support remote distancing and social distancing to remote hospitals back and forth to the main lab, as well as doctors or personnel who may be off-site at their home office. And you may ask, why PathCast? We had the same question. Why should we bring out our own system? And so we actually started using the broad market teleconferencing solutions. And right off the bat, we started having issues. First off, they were complex to actually start a consultation, because in consultation situations, it's time sensitive. You don't want to be logging in or setting up appointments and all this other stuff in order to get a consultation started. So that was an issue. Secondly, we quickly ran into poor image quality on these live video streams. They would go into a compression mode, and it would change. So it might come sharp for a little while and then go back into that. Or you would get very slow frame rates. That's actually, with GoToMeeting, we're going to see that here. That's a problem that GoToMeeting has, is that the remote users actually see a very slow image feed. Another problem that we've come across is poor audio quality, making any conversation very challenging. So that was another goal that we had to solve, is to really give a good FM quality sound system. Then finally, we had actually started using TeamViewer, and it was a pretty good product, but suddenly we found out that TeamViewer is an insecure product as far as the IT departments go, and basically it was thrown out of our hospital installations. So that was kind of the last straw. So we basically pulled together our engineering group and started development and came up with PathCast. And first off, PathCast is easy to start a consult. You basically select a colleague from the drop-down list. You click the invite meeting button and the colleague accepts. And then the meeting starts with the video and the audio and the remote cursor and keyboard all enabled. And you can always turn them back off, but you don't have to fumble around with, oh, I forgot to present the screen, or, oh, I'm muted and I can't get things started, as I actually did at the beginning of this meeting. Those are, basically PathCast is elegantly simple. There's no logins, no appointments. There's none of these like, you're muted or your screen's not showing. Next, we wanted to make sure PathCast had a clear communication channel. And so what we've provided you with is a fixed high-resolution video, and we've made sure that it doesn't go into compression breakup. It's solid, clear imaging. This is key for your CLIA certification, because I don't know how anyone's getting a CLIA certification if the resolution of the data that you're trying to look at is always changing. It's pretty tenuous at that point. It uses the latest X264 video compression, so it's not a heavy load on the network, and that helps you have very high frame rates. We also then provide it with a voice over IP audio channel, producing clear FM quality type sound, as well as it has half duplex auto echo suppression, so that when one person's talking, it mutes the speaker on the other side. With a slight pause, both speakers are looking for the next person to talk, and then that person will take over and talk. It also has a remote cursor and keyboard control. This allows you to basically point at things in the interface, so you can have a truly interactive discussion, as well as be able to click on the buttons. And when you do that in the PathSuite software or in the Spot software, you can select the annotation tools, measurement tools, and draw on your images. Lastly, secure architecture. From the ground up, we designed this to be secure. Number one, it's proprietary, hospital-only targeted application. So it's not this broadcasted out to everyone in the world so that hackers can actually get a hold of it and start attacking people's hospitals. Another thing is all clients are registered by your hospital IT department, as well as Spot Imaging. Another thing is PathCast operates within your organizational firewall, so it's not even out on the wild, wild west of the the World Wide Web. Off-site personnel can make connections in via a secure and registered VPN channel. All client information data are kept within the hospital IT network, so you don't have to worry about anyone else getting your contact information. And all of these, plus the controlled resolution and controlled revisions of the software, address your CLIA certification issues. Finally, PathCast is easy to set up. There's a quick install of the contact server on a service onto one of the servers. You basically then install a PathCast client on each of the workstations that are going to be talking to each other. You enter the IP address of the PathCast contact manager, enter your name, your department, and that you're not busy, and basically click start a meeting, and you're up and running, and you're talking to your colleagues. We have not only that, if you want to demo it out, we have a 60-day demo trial to try out the software in your own environment. As well as what I want to note before we go into this demonstration is primarily to show you the interface. The speed of the interaction is going to be limited by the GoToMeeting, as well as the image quality is limited by the GoToMeeting. So we're not going to see the full thing. We can come out to your location with 2 computers and set it up and show you on our own little network, as well as you can have your IT department if they want to let you set it up at your network. We can set it up there and let you run for 60 days. Very simple architecture. Basically, the clients are on individual machines. The contact server is on your network server, and outside clients are coming in through a VPN connection. The data, the reason why it's so fast is that it sends the data directly from one client to another. and the contact server just basically talks to the clients to make them aware of each other. Right now, the current implementation is a single client to a single client. In future releases, we'll actually do a one client to many type of meeting. But for consults, generally the client to client does a great job. So PathCast basically is available for all of our products as well as other outside applications because it's basically is not broadcasting, but it's basically setting up a meeting that's sharing your screen with your colleagues. So now what I'd like to do is we're going to switch over and actually show you the demonstration. So I'm going to escape the PowerPoint. And here is the interface. I just bumped it out here, and you can see that up here there's some controls for showing the screen, basically muting and your controls. Right here is where you would put in your name, your department, whether you're available, as well as we have a little on-call checkbox, and that would actually show whether you're available, like for a cytology rows evaluation consult. And that way your person who's basically at the procedure room doesn't necessarily need to know exactly which doctor is on call. Once we've done that, I can, for example, right now, let's say I'm going to now start a meeting with Path Station, Frozen, yep. And I just click on their name, I click invite to meeting, and now I've sent that over, and what Patricia's going to do is switch the presentation over to show Robert is on the Path Station, and he's actually okay. So this is he's actually got a grossing camera running there, but he's getting a message, and then he just accepted the meeting, and now, whoops.
It's because of GoToMeeting.
Yep. Okay, and so you know, basically what you see would be, flip between objectives. So we go up to higher objective. And we can digitally zoom in. We can pan around. We can just grab the image and pan around. So that basically you have a very live, interactive methodology. We could go in and actually do measurements, etc. The remote person can actually control the screen too. So that's all there. And I think that's basically everything we got going. So, okay. So now what we want to do is we're going to save our questions on PathCast to the end, and we're going to transition over to the PathTracker, do a little presentation on that and a demo, and then what we'll do is open up the floor for all questions. So I'm going to escape this, and we're going to go back to So the next subject we want to talk about is PathTracker. And PathTracker is a bulk barcode reader and sampling system, and that actually allows you to put in any size basket or slide folder under, align it, and then scan for all the barcodes that are in the field of view. And we'll demonstrate that and show you just how simple it is to use. But before we get there, let's answer some of those basic questions. And why do PathTracker? And one of the reasons is that hand scanning has actually issues. And they defeat, some of the basic purposes of doing tracking. First off, there's physical and psychological strain on the operators. Physically, when you have to scan 150 barcodes in a basket, after a while, people get repetitive stress disorders with their wrists and whatnot. Psychologically, they're worrying about the courier who's going to come for their basket to take it back to the main lab. So they're a little bit nervous and a little stressed about that. Another thing is, basically hand scanning is slow and laborious, which ends up being seen as overtime charges to your budget, as well as labs actually reduce the number of waypoints that they actually track at because they don't want to basically take all this extra time to do all that track scanning. Another problem that they have is missed scans. So when you're hand scanning in a container that has many cassettes or many slides, if you miss one, oftentimes you don't know it, or at the end, even if you get a message that says you missed one, the next question is which one? You look down and there's a whole 150 barcodes or 20 barcodes down there, and basically either you start over or and that's maybe your only way you can do it. So there's no visual record, there's no error correction if you have a barcode there, and if a cassette is late or missing, it's generally very hard to have an alarm on it and know that it is. So out there's actually competing systems. One is from Thermo, it's called the Arcos system. Basically, it has a downfall in it requires proprietary drawers and racking systems. Its barcode error correction has some issues with it and how easy it is to correct a barcode. And lastly, it lacks really an in-process type of scanning capability. It's designed for the final archiving and managing of the final archive. So it really doesn't deal with the issues that histology labs are having right now. PathTracker itself, though, is all about quick scanning. And just as a kind of a benchmark, it takes about 25 seconds to do a 150 cassette scan. It takes less than 10 seconds to do a 20 slide scan. And obviously, somewhere in between for other numbers of barcodes. It relieves repetitive injury, strain injury to your wrists because you just line the basket up and click and you do one scan versus 150 scans. It really alleviates the operator angst over missing the couriers as they come in, because when the courier shows up, you can probably just pop it in there, do the scan, and have it done in time to hand it over to them. The other thing is it reduces overtime, from this hand scanning, and it also allows you to do increased number of tracking waypoints, such as at the processors, which is apparently a kind of a problem area for losing cassettes. So you can actually scan before you go in, scan if you have to resort them, and then scan on the way out, just to make sure that you don't lose any of those cassettes. It provides enhanced tracking, and what we mean by that is it provides you with a visual interface that allows you a quick confirmation of what samples were scanned or missed. It gives you barcode correction tools so that if you have a badly printed or handwritten barcodes, you can actually get those entered into your sampling. It provides you with sample alarms that give you alerts, as well as auto emails if there's a missing or late sample. There's a quick printout, a bill of lading that provides you both the list as well as a picture of the scanned samples. And then we have tracking reports and dashboards to show you the current as well as historical sample locations. Lastly, we're still in the development phase of the data transfer uploads to the LIS barcode tracking systems, and that should be completed in the next month or so. PathTracker key features: it tracks in-process samples. It does not require proprietary containers. And one PathTracker instrument can read both cassettes and slides, as well as it can handle multiple waypoints. So you don't have to buy multiple machines in a certain lab area. It provides a simple visual interface that's easy to learn and easy to use. And it includes a workflow process builder so that you can actually model what your workflow is, place the tracking waypoints in there. It has a PathTracker database to actually store the images so that if you want to look at them, or as well as all the scans so that you can actually do historical reviews of your data. It has alarms for late and missing samples. It has a sample tracking dashboard and report generator, as well as a bill of lading generator and the LIS data link interface. So what I'd like to do now is give you a quick demonstration of the PathTracker actually running. And I'm going to now switch over the demonstration to Patrick Merlo, who's provide us with a presentation there.
Hello, this is Patrick, and right now you're looking at the blank screen prior to putting the basket full of cassettes in the PathTracker instrument. You can see that it's all very visual. We put the basket in, and as long as you can see the barcode, we will be able to read it. Let me start off by saying that before we do the scan, that the barcode tracking database can be configured to your individual situation. We have the ability through an interface to create programs that will model your workflow and what your intent is. We have two example programs here, one for one hospital and one for another hospital. The first hospital was primarily concerned with tracking the cassettes and making sure none of them were lost as they got shipped from the outlying hospitals to the central lab. So in this case, we had a variety of outside labs, Children's, Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, Nyack, St. Luke's, Wakefield, Weiler, White Plains, all shipping to the Moses Central Lab. That's the receiving area here. We had a different situation with a different hospital where they were primarily interested in keeping track of the cassettes on the internal workflow from the grossing station through processing, through embedding, through microtomy, through histology, through the pathologist examining the slides, and then on to archiving the slides. And there are ways of setting alarms so that as they go from station to station, you set a time limit. And the time limit respects weekends and days off. That can be configured. And if the basket or an individual cassette is late beyond the alarm limit between the waypoints, an alarm will go off. Email will be sent. Actually, the first thing that will happen is that there will be an alert on the screen, and you're allowed to snooze it for a preset time. And during the snooze time, you attempt to find the basket. Of course, if you can't find the basket, you indicate it's missing and go on with your work. The other thing we do is we have two different ways of looking for individual missing cassettes. Let's say you receive a basket that had 150 cassettes at the previous scan, and now it's only got 149. We will then flag that cassette as missing, and there will also be an alarm sent for that. You're also allowed to break up baskets by properly programming the program for your facility. You can have the baskets have the ability to be not broken up between waypoints. And then, like when they get to processing, they can be broken up, reconfigured into separate baskets, scanned on the way out, and then they will have to remain intact at other steps down the road. So it's the programming is very wonderful and really will allow you to do what you need to do with your workflow. So let's not do the programming, but let's just show how easy it is for the operator to use. So again, we take the basket, we put it in the field of view, which you can see on the instrument on a 23-inch monitor. We simply click the big green button. And in this case, we're going to show the selections you make. Typically, if the instrument is configured for a certain waypoint, you won't have to keep making these kinds of decisions, but I just wanted to show what it looked like. So this is, let's say, shipping from an outside outlying hospital. This is the Montefiore example. We ship from an outside hospital. Whoa, which hospital are you? Well, let's say we're Children's Hospital. And how are we shipping? We're going to be shipping internal carrier or UPS. In this case, it'll be internal carrier. Right now, we're scanning the image. The red lines are there just for the operator's amusement. They're not doing anything. As we find the barcodes, we outline them with the green rectangles. Unfortunately, we have a number of duplicated barcodes in here. These were donated to us, and there were duplicates. Those will turn out orange at the end of the scan, so we know what cassettes are duplicates. And then this is a basket that normally holds 150 cassettes. If you look in the upper right-hand corner where you get the scan summary, you'll notice that we detected 149. Well, that's not good. Well, I rigged the test. There's one cassette in here in the middle of the top row that is what's called an inverse barcode, where the areas that should be black are white, and the areas that should be white are black. Right now, the software doesn't recognize inverse barcodes. That's going to be done before we deliver. It's a trivial issue, but it does give us an opportunity to use the barcode recovery. So let's say that you have a basket, you scan and you say, oh my God, I missed a barcode. So first thing you do is you grab the magnifier tool and you go over there and you examine the barcode. What you're looking for here is, are there any drops of formalin, any tissue pieces that are obscuring the barcode? If there are, you will then take a Q-tip and scrub them off. But let's say that the barcode looks pretty good. You click on it, and you're presented with this screen here. And you have a number of different options to recover the barcode. The simple, most obvious option is the first one, and that's what we call our intensive scan option. And that really looks hard trying to recover the barcode. We can't do this on the whole image because it would take a very long time, but on this small area, it's not a problem. I do know that this won't work because we won't recognize the inverse barcode, but this is what it looks like. And it says it can't read it, and it's true, it can't. The next one is, let's skip the second one, let's go right to the third one. The third one is that if you can't recover it with the intensive scan or the handheld barcode reader, you can type it in yourself. When you click this, you'll notice that the region of interest develops 4 handles. And basically the handles are saying, in what direction from the barcode is the human readable printing? In this case, it's not on the bottom, not on the right, not on the left, it's up. So we do that, and then we present the image to you so that it's easy to read and easy to type in. So that's what you would do. We thought this was probably a last resort because the human readable characters do not contain all the information that's in the barcode, but we were surprised to find that some national labs found this very interesting. Apparently, they get a lot of cassettes shipped to them, a lot of them overseas shipments, where they come in and there are no barcodes. The information is just handwritten on the end of the cassette. So they found that, this to be pretty valuable. After you've recovered all the missed barcodes, then you can store them in the database from that waypoint. And by going to the dashboard, you can see that the Montefiore shipping shows all the barcodes that it read as list items. And if any list item is interesting to you, you can double click on it and you'll get a reference image, the image that was used for the scan. And you'll notice that there's a green rectangle around the barcode that you picked out, showing the location. So you can confirm that that cassette was at that way station at this time, at that date, and at that location. So in this example with Montefiore, they're interested primarily in the cassettes that left shipping and then were scanned in at receiving. Once they hit receiving, they're no longer considered active barcodes. The receiving is the last waypoint, of course. So if we do another scan and do it for receiving, this is Moses. You know, there's only one choice. This is the central lab. And alluding to what Philip said earlier, you can see how this quick and easy and psychologically non-traumatic scanning of the barcodes means that you could put these at a number of different waypoints in your system without stressing out your operators. Okay, so we again detected 149. We're again missing the inverse barcode here. Let's okay that, enter it into the system. At this point, these active barcodes have just walked out of the system. They've hit the last waypoint in the system, and we're done with them. In the dashboard, there is no Montefiore receiving because that's the last waypoint, and once things get in there, they're out of the system. And obviously we have no stragglers. If for some reason a basket or a cassette didn't make it either within the allocated amount of time or it was missing from a basket, the alarm would be set. You would get if this happened regularly, it shouldn't, but if it did, you'd get a list of items that are in alarm, and the last good waypoint and what type of alarm it was. In this case, if you had snoozed the alarm, which some people you're allowed to do, the snoozing of the alarm allows you to try to find the basket, but while you're snoozing, it tells you how much time is remaining in the snooze function. If at any point in the future you want to find out what happened to a cassette at any point in the past that's in the system, you can search for that cassette by knowing the value, by knowing the time period, by knowing the waypoint. And it will find that cassette and tell you the waypoints it went through and when it went through. A variety of different ways of setting up notifications. We can even allow you to hide the alarm window. So when the basket doesn't validate or a cassette basket is overdue, you'll get an alarm on your operator screen, but you're allowed to hide that alarm, hide that window for a set amount of time. The amount of time is set by the administrator. So I think that's probably the end of the demonstration on my part.
Okay, thank you, Pat. So let me just wrap up, basically on these presentations, and then we'll go to the questions. Just to, revisit this, basically, we work with you on project planning, basically get you set up and review your application, your infrastructure, your IT reviews, configure your system, get you quotations, get customer approval as well as your purchase order. Then we'll go through and confirm your order, do a pre-install planning for the installation, provide you with on-site installation, set up and configure the system, and then provide training. And then in regular day in and day out operation, basically our systems have software as a service methodology. So what that helps us do is lower your purchase cost, as well as providing you support throughout the life of the software, ensuring that you're not falling behind on revisions and waiting for bugs to be addressed, because you have to buy another version, or that the operating system suddenly Windows changes the operating system and you have all of a sudden a big budget ask to update all your systems. All of that, as well as new features, are just ongoingly supplied to you in your IT department, and you have a known budget cost for what you're doing. For the equipment itself, they come with a standard 1-year warranty, as well as we have maintenance and service programs for ongoing support. And we'd like to let you know that you would be joining. This is only a small number of the locations that we have Spot equipment at. We are fast becoming one of the standards for pathology that people use for imaging. Generally, you'd like to work with Spot because we're image specialists and we've been doing this for quite a long time. Our focus is to save you time, money, and space by providing streamlined pathology workflows. We fit onto your current infrastructure, so we go onto your microscopes in your hoods, as well as we connect directly to your LS. And then we have incremental adoption, which allows you to solve each of the imaging tasks that you have, and they all dovetail together in the end. So you have a complete solution, and be able to build to that over the next 5 years. We have solid experience, basically 53 years of problem solving. And then finally, one of our greatest strengths is system support. We have Spot tech help and maintenance network available. Contact us virtually and in the field, and we'll take care of you. So what we want to now pivot to is open up for your questions. And we have one that's already here, and we'll start off with that one.
The first question is from Diane Graffi, and it says, have you interfaced with Cerner Millennium?
The project that we have going, they're doing the final beta testing of the foundation software. And the next project that we're working on is, one is with Ohio State Medical Center to work on the Epic Beaker interface. The other location that we're working with is Vanderbilt, and that's with Cerner Copath. And then we're at this point getting ready to talk to one of our clients about doing and testing out the Millennium interface. So those are the first 3 interfaces that we're going to be developing and releasing. The plan is in the next week and a half, I think, to 2 weeks, they should have the foundation software completed, and the HL7 messaging part, which is how the LIS interfaces run, will be started, and we'll be in leading with basically the CoPath and the Epic Beaker solutions, which should make the Millennium solution come on very quickly after that. We believe that in the next month here, we should be getting into and wrapping up the beta testing on those two interfaces and then getting ready to start on the Millennium.
Next question from Toby Cornish. Can the PathTracker build be minimized for sites with tracking software already in place?
Comes standardly, the foundation software is the standard base software that's there. The amount that you use that, generally, if you're only going to use one or two waypoints, it's pretty quick and easy to set up your work process and just put those two waypoints in. And then at that point, we can set up so that the database, I'm pretty sure we can purge the database so that we're not taking up a lot of space on the server, and just upload up the images, or I mean the scan data into the LIS. When we put the automatic purge on, we can put a time frame on it so that that software and the search capability that we have in the PathTracker software is available for you. And what we can do is just after a month or so, you can set up the time limit actually, that it'll just go back and it'll delete the data and the images after that time.
Next question, I believe you already answered. This is from Toby Cornish. What LISs will be supported and when? If you did already answer that, Phil will go to his next question.
I'll briefly walk through that here. The first two interfaces that we'll be working on generally simultaneously is the Epic Beaker interface and the Cerner CoPath. That will be followed by Millennium. Our projected completion of the Beaker and the Cerner Millennium, or the Cerner CoPath interfaces, would be in the September timeframe. That would be followed by the Millennium, the Cerner Millennium interface. We believe that that should be released in the October timeframe, and almost simultaneously we'll be looking to start to work with the Ventana Vantage interface. And then after that, we're then looking at the Sunquist interfaces. There's the PowerPath and the Sunquist CoPath interface. Other interfaces that we're looking at integrating with, one is Meditech. When we approached Meditech, they weren't ready because they were doing a rebuild of their interface as it was, or their LIS as it was. So when they're ready, we'll be looking at that one. And then we're also open to other interfaces as we get demand from our customers.
From Toby Cornish. Will the interface to LISs be unidirectional or bidirectional?
Since we're using HL7 messaging, it can be bidirectional. And in the beginning, the first releases we think are primarily going to be unidirectional with our data being uploaded into the LIS. But as we work with the different labs and they come up with useful features that might require other data to be presented on our screen, we would hope to be able to make an HL7 message requesting data from the LIS and presenting it to the user at the screen. Our philosophy is that PathTracker and basically all of our imaging systems generally are not us or the LIS. It is more of a collaborative type effort where if it makes more sense for us to display data, we will display data. And if it makes more sense for the LIS to display the data, the LIS should display the data. So we're more of a partner with the LIS systems enhancing the user experience.
From Santee Genzola, can it read other than the QR code?
So we can configure the system to read what currently is, you call a QR code, is actually 2D barcodes. But if there's linear barcodes, we can configure it to read those. We would actually have to, on 2D barcodes, that would have to be implemented. We haven't tested that as of yet, but I do not think that should be a problem at all.
Another question from Santee Genzola. What happens if a slide/block had more than one code?
Currently, we're going to scan both of those codes into the system, and that's maybe something that we will have to develop out. So in other words, I know that reference labs often get slides in that have the originating institution's barcode, and then they will put their own second barcode on the slide. That is a circumstance right now that we're not addressing. So I guess we will have to work at that on our development.
From Emily Wagner, on PathTracker, does the system indicate which block is missing if one is removed between scans?
So there's two types of scans that we do. One is what we would call as a reconciliation. And a reconciliation is generally used when you're shipping from like one location to another and there's no rearrangement of the cassettes. When we do that, immediately when you scan in, we're going to, in that notification section that was on the right-hand side of the demonstration, you would get a warning that there's, basically a cassette that's missing because it should be there, as well as they have a display mode that they can go into, which actually gives you a split screen so you can flip quickly between the shipping scan and the receiving scan so that you can very quickly see where the cassette might be missing and be able to easily identify it there. If it is a resort where you actually may split a basket, let's say, into other baskets, let's say at the processors, those would only, a missing cassette at that point would only be caught by the alarms themselves, per se. Then there's one other instance here that may be part of what you're asking, is that if we do a scan and let's say either there's tissue or formalin or it's badly printed of a barcode and we miss it, the current release of the software that we're going to have, we don't have yet an identifier that will actually put a box around that barcode that we missed. That's a project or a feature that they're working on so that you don't have to play Where's Waldo. You're going to have something like in red that's going to pop up in the future. It's just not finished in the development cycle yet.
From Angelica Lamberton, when will an interface with Sunquest CoPath be worked on?
Sunquest has approached us several different times. A combination of our company and their company not ready for that development has not allowed it to be developed as of now. We believe that that's going to be in more the November, December type time frame.
From Kathy Popor, does PathCast let you share controls between users?
When we say share controls, it allows the remote user to also run both the mouse and any buttons on the mouse as well as the keyboard. And one of the things that was historically an issue is that when we've used other programs, when you moved the cursor and you were looking at the screen, there was this great lag, and so it made it very hard for you to actually position cursors on things. And so we got around that by, when you move the cursor, you would actually see a little round circle representing where your intent for the cursor to move to. And then you would see the cursor actually catch up to that little circle and end up at it, when your display actually, made the round trip feedback to you. So yes, you do have remote control. That control can actually be turned off by either the host or by the person who is the attendee. The presenter can turn it off so that they can limit people's access to their screen. Other controls you have is a mute, so that let's say you get a phone call that comes in and you need to answer it, you can quickly mute the interface so that no one can hear you, as well as you can turn off the presentation temporarily if you have to pop out and answer an email.
From Kathy Pokor, is software as a service on PathTracker included in the price, and for how long?
It's included, and generally we quote on the quotation the first year subscription time, and then what happens is we usually put down a little bit lower in an option area the ongoing cost on a yearly basis for the software, so that you would see what your initial price is as well as the ongoing price. So we could answer any more questions if there are any. If they're not, and we're getting to the end of the hour here, we have about 4 minutes, a little less than 4 minutes left. The other thing I'd like to mention is that we welcome any questions. You can send them to us on an email and we can get into greater depth, as well as we can have follow-on meetings, which can be one-on-one meetings with your organization to discuss any deeper questions, or do demos to a greater degree to show you any feature in more depth, as well as Patricia, Robert, and Kent can arrange for on-site demos as necessary, as well as trials. We definitely welcome that and can set that up. I think that's about it. And probably one of the other things is we'll be sending you out a follow-up email from the meeting. In that, it'll have a link with a recording of the seminar. So if you have a colleague that couldn't attend, you can forward them that link, and as well as anyone who had signed up and were unable to attend will automatically get that email. So we thank you very much for your time today, and if you have anything that you need more information on, please don't hesitate to contact us. So thank you again, and Patricia will probably be ending the meeting now.